Well, joining me first on the news tonight is Shobana Kamineni, Executive Vice-Chairperson of Apollo Hospitals, also former President of the CII. Thank you very much indeed for speaking with NDTV, Ms. Kamineni. How do you see the government's move today? Is this truly big bang tax reform and precisely what the economy needs right now, or would you still say that perhaps this falls short? It's a little too little, it's too little too late.
Good evening, Ankita. I think Diwali has come early for India, for all Indians. And CII, when I was president 2 years ago, we were really pushing for this tax cut because we said we have to be competitive with our neighbors. If we're talking about Make in India, if we're going to see new capacity addition in the country, and if we're going to really broaden the base of the tax in our economy and just see that there's more vibrancy, we need to be competitive in our tax rate. It's come today, and we're very, very appreciative of it. It's not just the tax, this thing that the stock exchange that is celebrating, but I think across you're going to see that many Indians who run businesses and who run companies have started making the calculations and seeing how they can give it back. I just heard that Maruti is going to give it back to the consumer, and I think that is positive sentiment.
Right, positive sentiment, of course. From the corporate point of view, what to your mind are the biggest gains from this reduction in corporate taxes, and how is all of this going to be passed on? How are people actually going to have more money to spend?
Why we like it in CII is we did the calculation that, to create a level playing field and saying that remove all exemptions, we said that's very important, and it really, I think the FM even earlier was saying that she's going to have this anonymization of tax scrutiny, that she's going to be able to computerize it. And then once you have a real transparency and say that we're removing all these other subsidies and we're going to be straight in giving you one flat tax, it's a real good message for companies, because you know that this is what you pay, this is how you get into it. And I think that compliance will show that the tax revenues will actually come up in the future, and especially for new businesses, when they come in, it's very confusing for them. And then you're actually spending money to see where I can save in tax. Now it's very straight, it's open. So I think in this ease of doing business, this will really score very high. Now, how the consumers will benefit? We're really having this whole, this delayed payment, this delayed consumption, reduced consumption that we've seen. Once these spirits are back, this is bonus time. This is bonus time for companies that I think that many companies will now step up and say, we can afford to do this. Right. Our balance sheets are going to look better. Let's make sure that we give these Diwali bonuses, these Dasara bonuses. So you're going to find that sentiment is going to start picking up. Once even prices now will come down. So on the whole, I think that the timing was perfect. Timing was perfect, and the measure was big enough for us to appreciate.
So early Diwali, as you say. But Shobana Kamineni, the RBI in its annual report last month had talked about structural reforms being the need of the hour. Of course, they had pointed to tax reforms, but also they talked about changes in labor laws, other legal reforms. Do you think that this by itself, the move to slash corporate taxes, is going to be enough to revive those animal spirits?
If you had given me, the thing is that the world is never so simple that you say one thing will make everything better. That's not going to be there. But this is a big enough thing that will start, it shows the government's intention. The early moves were mini moves that actually took care of certain sectors. This is more broad-based, and I do think that labor reforms, CII has been talking about this for the last 2 years,
right.
and now it's time for us in industry to step up and say that you've made this happen. Industry are to some extent risk takers, so we should have belief that things are going to get better. and please understand that the rest of the world is slowing down. So you have to look at, in a global context, the fact that India is stepping up to say that here's a country, we're going to make sure that demand comes up, and we're going to help industry move. And I think that shows solid intent.
Shobana Kamineni, you've been one among other industry leaders who've actually sort of talked about where the government perhaps was lagging behind in a situation like this. Would you say that today's move signals a willingness on the part of the government to listen to criticism, to actually respond to feedback?
You know, that would be a resounding, that's one of the, I should have said that earlier also, because that's the thing, when you have a government that is willing to work and partner and move forward together, that's what this country needs. Those are the things that will revive animal spirits, when there's a sense of trust and there's a sense of partnership. Thank you for bringing that up.
But one last question, given that the centre will now have to forego an estimated revenue of 1.45 lakh crores annually thanks to this corporate rate cut, how is it going to balance its books, as it were? Already we have GST collections falling short of targets by something to the tune of 1 lakh crore every month. Now we're talking about an additional loss of 1.45 lakh crores annually. How is India going to meet its fiscal deficit target?
You know, I think that the economists will know this better, but to me, a very simple answer would be that the tax base will broaden. There will be less people who are avoiding this tax. It was when, you know, when companies are struggling, a 35% tax burden is too large. But then once you've shown this intent and brought it down, I think there'll be more compliance in the system, and it will not be a foregoing of 1.45 lakh crores. But if you look at it over a 3 or 4 year period, you'll actually see that our tax base expands, that consumption will expand, that there'll be more capacity added in. So possibly this is something that you needed to unlock greater value in the future. And this is something that most people who are, you know, just running households or businesses will understand.
All right,
the
Shobana
complexities of it,
yes,
I'll leave to your other economists.
And I will in fact take this across to them. But thank you, Shobana Kamineni. We know you have a flight to catch, so thank you for joining us and giving us your views.
Thank you.